kind of more technical aspect of mindfulness-based cognitive therapy for depression or mindfulness-based stress reduction. So then you have mindfulness, which has kind of, it's more seen as non-judging attention, often in that context. And personally, I would like it to show, because meditation, I feel, is helping us to develop creative awareness, especially like in the mindfulness that is being developed at the moment, is that what is very important is a non-judgment. But I think what is important to see is often in Buddhism, they talk in terms of not something. So not judging. But actually the not something leaves a place for something else. So I think it's very important to see like non-grasping actually leaves a place for creative engagement. Non-judging actually leaves space for love. For a love which is really like what I would call a kind of a warm love, which is kind of like caring and supportive toward ourselves and toward others. So I find what is interesting with this practice of meditation, and also that's a little the problem with putting emphasis on effect, but stating them in a kind of a non-way, is actually it forgets to show, okay, you don't do this, but you don't just stay there. Not doing this actually helps something else to be there, and something else to be felt, to be manifested. And what I would say, because often in Buddhism there is a talk of not self, and then you start to think, oh, I don't exist. When actually the problem is this self-centeredness, so this solid fixed sense of self. And so if that disappears, then you have a much more spacious sense of self. And then what is interesting with that is that you can actually, with the awareness, the mindfulness, start to appreciate yourself more. Because again, it's back to this focus. What is it we focus on? And we seem to have this strange negative scanning device. And then we look, we're kind of like tracking all the bad things, ourselves, others. And I think the mindfulness is, let's say, changing the tracking. That actually you start to have this more open vision, where you start to see actually what is good about you, and of course what is difficult. But if you see more what is good about you, what is capable, the capacity you have, actually it makes you more self-confident. Then because you become more self-confident, you can be more that. And then it's much easier to love oneself. If you're not every 2 minutes thinking, I am always stupid. But if you see, oh, I can be quite a kind person. Oh, I can have a good idea. I can respond in a creative way. And so I would totally agree that actually the mindfulness helps us to have a more benign, I think one of the aspects of the mindfulness is this benign movement. Because often it's like we're waiting for ourselves or others to do something wrong. Even before you have done it, you're kind of waiting for it. And I think the mindfulness helps us to develop what I would call a generous attitude. That I give myself and others the benefit of the doubt. So I don't preempt myself that anyway I'm going to make a mistake or to do something stupid. But then there is more this, okay, let's see what happened. And then let's see how you can help yourself, or what is it that is not helping. And then again, there is more creativity, more creative engagement. And in terms of feelings, you see, I think we have to be careful that the fact that there is something with not wanting to experience feeling, that's possible. But also, there is a fact that sometimes our feelings are not strong. So the fact that we don't have strong feeling doesn't mean we don't have feeling. Because what I found interesting with the Buddha is that it talks of neutral feeling tone. And actually, I think, you know, there are pleasant feeling tone, unpleasant feeling tone, and neutral feeling tone. And a lot of the time, if not much is happening, we will be generally, I would say, relatively neutral feeling tone. And often that as a negative association. I am not feeling anything that often. Or it's boring. My life is boring. The world is boring. When actually, if through the meditation, often that's what we experience a lot. When we meditate, is neutral feeling tone. And then we can see that it's restful. So then in a way we accompany more the different feeling, that it be the painful one or that it be the pleasant one, but also the neutral one, the more neither pleasant nor unpleasant. In a way, what I think what the seventh factor of enlightenment, awakening, shows is that it's not just one thing. In order to, in a way, develop the whole person, then you have to develop different things. And so what is interesting is actually to have the two very different ones. You have equanimity, and you have joy, and you have energy. And so equanimity, often you have the feeling, I must not do anything. I must be above it all. Actually, when the equanimity is more this stability, so that you don't get destabilized. There is this stable ground. Then joy, it shows that, you know, this is not just about being miserable, but actually it's about finding a certain quality of lightness. And to me, this is basically what the meditation is about, a lot about becoming lighter. Often we're very fixed, we're very solid, we're very heavy. And the mindfulness, the meditation over time, I think because of this spaciousness, makes us a little lighter. And then energy, we need energy, because if we don't have energy, then nothing happens. We just even need energy to sit here. You know, so all these factors, and of course mindfulness is in it, and a few others which we'll remember another day.
But do they actually come naturally, or do they actually develop naturally into the meditation? Because I mean, that's the theory, really.
You see, it's back to what I started with, cultivation and effect. You see, what is interesting with the meditation, the more you cultivate, the more you have the effect. The more you have the effect, the more you cultivate. So it's kind of like, it goes together. Because, and each can mean both. That it's something like energy, you have to cultivate it. And actually, through the meditation, because you're less grasping, you get more energy. So the joy, it's a good idea to cultivate joy, rejoicing. And at the same time, if you do meditation, often more joy comes up. So basically, it's kind of saying, you know, in part, you cultivate them, and in part, there will be an effect. So that actually you have these two aspects, really, the cultivation and the effect of it. And that in a way, these kind of complement each other, and it depends on the conditions. Are you doing more the cultivation, or are you more experiencing the effect? Which is the same as compassion. We encourage to cultivate compassion, and at the same time, if you do cultivate the meditation, then often you experience what I would call opening of the heart, where suddenly you really feel love and compassion for everyone. So in a way, that's a result of the meditation. But if you wait to meditate long enough to feel it, then you might not consider it so often. Then if you cultivate it anyway, and also it arises from the meditation. So I think that's a bit the reason for this, cultivation and effect, is that the meditation is not always going to produce the effect. And then it's not a bad idea to cultivate this quality anyway, which also helps us to meditate. So I think that's why it kind of goes together. The two goes together, the cultivation of something and then the effect of something. yes, I mean, again, it depends. People have different idea about this.